Welcome back to Mastering Jetpack Compose. In this episode, we are going to make our UI fully interactive by working with the three most common user input components: TextField, checkbox, and switch. These elements power almost every real-world app, login screen, setting pages, forms, and interactive layouts. Let's jump right in. In Jetpack Compose, user input always flows in a very predictable pattern. A user performs an action like tapping or typing, the state updates, and Compose automatically recomposes the UI with the new state. We don't manually update views like the old XML system. Compose reacts to state change instantly and efficiently. Let's start with the text field, one of the simplest inputs. Every time the user types something, the state changes and Compose redraws the UI. It's incredibly smooth. You don't have to manually refresh anything. You define a variable using remember and mutable state, pass it to text field, and the new type value instantly updates the UI. Next is the checkbox, perfect for the true or false decision like accepting terms or enabling feature. When the user taps it, the boolean value flips from the true to false or false to true. That value is stored in a state and a Compose updates the check mark automatically. All you need is a simple state variable and an on-check changed callback. Switch works very similarly to checkbox. It toggles between on and off state, but visually it represents features like dark mode, notification, or setting toggles. This also relies on a boolean state and the UI update automatically whenever the user flips the switch. Now let's combine everything we have learned into a mini form. Here we have a text field for entering a name, a checkbox for accepting terms, a switch for enabling notification. Each one stores its own state and the composable re-render every time any of them changes. This small example shows how easy it is to build real interactive forms in Compose. Everything is reactive, everything is connect, and everything is clean. Let's do it in a practical way. Let's begin with the simplest input component in the text field. First, we will create a state variable to store the username. We use remember and mutable state so that the Compose can track the value and recompose the UI when it changes. Next, we use column to place our text field and output text vertically. As the user types, this callbacks updates the name variable. Compose immediately redraws the UI with the new text. And just like that, we have a reactive text field that updates the UI instantly. Now let's create a checkbox perfect for agreement or preference. Again, we start with the boolean state. Inside a row, we place a checkbox and a label. When the user taps the checkbox is checked, flips between true and false. Compose handles the visual changes automatically, no extra code needed. Next, let's look at a switch. Commonly used for dark mode, Wi-Fi toggles or notification. We start with another boolean state. Then we place the switch and a label in a row. When the user flips the switch, the state updates instantly. You can later connect this to actual theme toggling if needed. Now let's combine everything into a small form. This demonstrates how multiple inputs can live inside one composable. Inside a column, we stack all UI elements. Next, the checkbox section. And finally the notification switch. We add some spacing and a submit button. This form demonstrates how Compose handles multiple independent states in one screen. Each input updates its own state and Compose automatically keeps the UI in sync. And that's how you work with the text field, checkbox and switch in Jetpack Compose. Each input is driven by state and Compose instantly responds to those changes. This gives you a smooth, reactive user interface with a very little code. In this episode, we learn how user input works in Compose, how state updates drive UI updates, and how text field, checkbox and switch create powerful interactive experience. In the next episode, we will take things further by learning how to style, shape, space and customize our UI using modifiers. Thanks for watching, and if you are following the series, you are becoming a Compose Pro step by step.